Very short time, from 1 or 2 million to 8 million, there was a population explosion.
A population explosion that soon led to disaster. Dr. Mike Coffey at the University of California, Riverside, is a leading researcher into the potato and what went terribly wrong when the Irish staked their lives on it. For Coffey, it's a personal mission.
Being an Irish American, professionally, what I'm doing is trying to make sure, as best I can as an individual, that this never happens again.
What ends in disaster at first seems like salvation to the poor Irish farmers.
By 1845, on this tiny, tiny island, there were 8 million people, most of whom were desperately poor, but actually lived a fairly good life. On a quarter of an acre of land, you could support a family of 14.
No other crop could feed so many mouths on so little land. The Irish become dangerously dependent upon it. Incredibly, the average Irishman eats as much as 14 pounds a day, and the English hate them for it.
It was seen as a lazy crop grown by a lazy people in their lazy beds. It was seen as something which kept the Irish poor, which kind of encouraged overpopulation.
But at the Neri house, Orser discovers evidence that the family had joined a rent strike to protest their hand-to-mouth existence.
Yeah, that's a bank token from the Bank of Ireland, 10 pence bank token dated 1813.
Money saved by refusing to pay rent lifts them a notch above the poverty line.
Thank you, dear Lord.
The Neris are breaking the law and getting away with it. Their defiance makes them a prime target for local rent collectors. One of them files a report on the troublemakers.
The Neris are reputed to be very solvent and have encouraged the other tenants. It is absolutely necessary that they should be proceeded against as intruders.
To crush the rent strike, the English authorities know they have to take down the Neris first. But it's no easy task.
We hear any more from across the way?
Mark, his sons James and Edward, and nephew Bartholomew are radicals with a bare-knuckle reputation.
What'll I do if they come and I'm alone?
Bailiffs come when they were least expected to intimidate the tenants.
Good evening, Missy.
The scenes are horrific and brutal, and rendered all the more so because they don't become just a kind of an individual or exceptional thing, but they become the normality.
Ask him to call by my office with the rent, will you? All right. We'll have to come back.
After 6 years of living with the constant threat of eviction, one Neri starts to think the unthinkable. Like thousands of his countrymen who have already left for America, Edward Neri faces a painful choice.
There was very little for them to look forward to, and there was a recognition that just beyond the ocean there really was a land, and to many it was the land of opportunity and hope. So people were prepared to risk even their lives, as so many of them lost their lives in the crossing.
It's a decision that pits loyalty to land and family against the promise of the new world.
But you need it here, Edward. You need it here.
Mark Neri's son, Edward, has a one-way ticket to America. He will never see Ireland again. With Edward gone, the pressure mounts. Local bailiffs report that maybe the Neris can be broken after all.
Come on, get on with it. We've got 3 more to do this afternoon.
The story has been gleaned from county records, contemporary periodicals, and tales handed down for generations.
Hey! Get away from my house!
That lock comes off once you've paid the rent.
In January of 1844, rent collectors repossessed the home of Mark Neri's nephew, Bartholomew.
The sooner you pay... You leaving? We'll be back. We'll be back.
Good luck to you. Come on, lads. Let's break this on.
the Neris celebrate a rare victory over the mighty English. But their joy is short-lived. A deadly threat is lurking in the fields of Ireland. One morning in the summer of 1845, the Neris wake up to a foul stench. Farmers across Ireland tell the same horrific story.
Their lovely potato plants, which showed such promise the day before, were all covered over with black spots and leaves and stalks hanging down as if dead.
The potato blight smell was unbelievable. You know, it would basically hit you in the face. You would vomit just in reaction to it. People would be in agony for hours and hours after they'd consumed this potato.
A family in County Kerry remembers the growing panic.
The blight thrives like a demon from hell. Some potatoes look sound enough on the outside, but as we touch them, they squash into mush.
Dr. Coffey has injected healthy potatoes with the blight to study its early effects.
The bacteria got in very quickly in this instance, and it's already disintegrating the tuber. You can see it's already a slimy pulp. Within a week, 2 weeks, possibly, this tuber will completely disintegrate. It'll be an oozy slime, a foul-smelling mess, just like the Irish faced in the 1840s in the famine.
All of Europe is afflicted by this mysterious and fast-moving disease. Scientists today believe it first arrived in Europe with seed potatoes, shipped from Mexico. By 1845, nowhere is as hard hit by the blight as Ireland.
In this little vial is the pathogen which destroyed the Irish potato crop. It's actually one of the most destructive plant pathogens we know of. Even to this day, it's extremely difficult to control. Probably more money is spent on attempting to control this disease, this plant disease, than any other plant disease.
Entire fields are destroyed in a few days. For Ireland's farmers, it's the end of the world.
I don't think we can exaggerate how profoundly disturbing this thing was. It looked like a biblical pestilence. And what was it hitting? It was hitting the potato, the very staff of life in Ireland. It was completely ripping out, you know, what made possible the fabric of Irish rural culture.
In the fall of 1845, panic spreads even faster than the blight. Desperate farmers rush to salvage what they can, but it's a fatal mistake. A local farmer recalls.
They allowed too many spotted ones to get mixed up with the good tubers, with the result that the spotted ones smited the others and most of the good ones went bad. The disease affected the whole district. It was all over. No man's crop escaped.
Under the microscope, we can see the actual spores, which are dispersed in the air. Literally, trillions of these spores can be produced in a very short time. They spread over long distances by wind and rain.
By the time the crop of 1846 is ready for harvest, the blight has tightened its death grip. In Ballykilcline, the Neris stick to their rent strike. But now they face a terrifying new enemy, starvation. Their struggle for land and dignity becomes a struggle for life itself. By harvest time 1846, the killer blight ravages the Irish countryside. Over 80% of the potato crop is inedible or destroyed.
It's the worst thing you can imagine. The knowledge that if you eat it, you're going to die. If you don't eat it, you're going to die.
Cut that away, John. Put the good bit in the bowl of pre-jog.